Welcome to Really Important Thinking with Dr. Chris Chismore, hosted by Tom and Griffin.
We are your hosts, Tom and Griffin.
Unfortunately, our illustrious friend, Dr. Chris Chismore, is away on his important research and unable to host the podcast this week.
But fear not, dear listener, because he has left us in charge, and we are going to try to do a really good job of a podcast.
This week, Dr. Chismore has asked us to talk about
creativity. Welcome, citizen soldiers, to another episode of Really Important Thinking with Dr. Chris Chismore,
starring and hosted by
Dr. Chris Chismore. But again, did Griffin, is he going to make it this week? I feel like he was texting you up until like maybe 10 minutes ago.
He went radio silent.
So I
don't
guess
think he's going to make it this time.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to assume that even though he said he might make it, he's not going to this week. So we have to host the podcast once again. But I mean, I feel like we're hitting a pretty good rhythm with it. You know, we've had a lot of guests on, and we have another great guest this week. But I'm getting ahead of myself because Dr. Chris Chismore, while he was texting you about making the podcast, he was texting me where he was. He was
sharing his location.
He was sharing his location, and it's surprising that he thought he was going to make it because he is so far away from Detweiler Sound right now that
Where is he?
There's no possible way he would have made it.
Where is he?
He's actually in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia this week.
Oh,
so
incredible.
He's in Riyadh trying to see how Kevin Hart's comedy has changed the cultural landscape.
Oh.
And
I thought maybe he was researching how all those guys can live with themselves.
Well, no, that he's researching how all their comedic sets changed the culture from all that culture that they shared.
It's like you have the butterfly effect, but what if you get a condor and you put it right where you want stuff to change? That's got to be. You know what I'm trying to say here?
Like a California condor?
I confused myself. Yeah, something much bigger than a
like
butterfly,
a bird?
And then it's like a big bird,
okay,
and then it's flapping its wings. And then the zone of sort of change, the area of interest is right next to the condor.
Yeah,
That's what these guys have done in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, exactly. And MBS is a totally changed man because of Kevin Hart's comedy.
He says no more bags over heads, no more journalists in
No.
Suitcases.
He's
I've seen the error of my ways.
Yeah, he said I laughed it all away, and I'm a changed man.
Aziz wasn't quite for him. Bill Burr he liked, but sort of middling. Kevin Hart stole the show with MBS.
Yeah, and so Dr. Chris Chismore is seeing the cultural effects of that and trying to figure out where else they can have comedy festivals
because
to change the world.
We had the Arab Spring, but God damn it didn't stick.
Yeah,
and maybe this one will.
Yeah.
Maybe the Kevin Hart effect.
Yeah.
The Kevin Hart, I don't even know what to call it. The Kevin Hart Condor effect is what I'll call it.
Wonderful. The Kevin Hart Condor effects. Well, I have realized that in their technological advances in recording this week, it might make this first part of this a little awkward because our guest is just kind of sitting there. Normally our guest
they're always just sitting right over there.
Yeah, but then I guess we can just cut to them, But do you want to introduce our guest for the week?
Yes.
Okay.
We're live over the internet with, well, I'll say some people, they work for a living.
Uh-huh.
Some people, they go out, they get in the dirt, they get their hands dirty, they're exercising their muscles, they're really earning it. And other people are simply creative. We know this type, creatives. And for what, some people very, very deeply value creativity. And so we've turned to a creativity expert, my friend Ryan, the music producer, Ryan McFadden. Welcome to the podcast.
Guys, thanks for having me.
How's that intro?
Different than I do myself, but pretty all-encompassing.
How would you introduce yourself, Ryan?
Generally, just Ryan.
Okay.
Right. You don't say Ryan, the music producer?
Not in those circles, no.
I'd maybe, just trying to optimize sort of your own business here. Maybe that might help you get in some more room.
When I introduce yeah, you
Hi,
should.
Ryan, the music producer. Don't fumble it like that. That was weak.
No.
When I introduce myself around town, it's always, hi, my name's Tom Fell, writer, director, creator, producer, musician, singer, artist, creative.
And I say, hi, I'm comedian Griffin Winsler.
Comedian.
Wow. And LA's going well so far for you guys?
Yeah,
Not good. Not
yeah.
good for me. Things are pretty tough. I had to say that we're starring in the podcast just so I can get another IMDb credit.
So you're a music producer and an expert in creativity. That's correct?
Yeah.
Would you say so?
Yeah,
That's
I'd
your
say
life's
so.
work.
Helping people
Okay.
make things, particularly music.
Okay.
As long as those things are records, right? Records, songs, music oriented.
Yeah.
Ryan's good.
Though I
You're
think
good
it's all
at-
kind of the same. I think everything's kind of similar-ish to everything.
Yes.
Um,
Ryan's very helpful, like sounding board for me over the years, and just like talking through ideas. We like to talk about books or whatever it is I'm working on. Ryan has been incredibly helpful, kind of pushing me. I'd say as somebody who's worked with Ryan, in maybe not any actual professional sense.
I think I
Ryan's
played
very
in
good
your
at, like-
band for a minute.
Ryan played. You played in
At least
Laser
for
Monster?
one rehearsal.
You played Laser Monster one rehearsal.
So it's possible that Ryan could have contributed to the ending and beginning of our podcast.
It's certainly not
music.
possible. Having been there for all of it, Ryan had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Sorry, man.
So Ryan, can you give our citizen soldiers, which is what we call our listeners, a little more insight as to like what where you are and what type of music you generally produce?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville, and I produce bands,
Right.
artists,
We love those.
blues,
Yep.
Americana, some indie rock,
Whoa.
some country. Yeah, just about everything. I feel like I am vague enough and varied enough to be many genres.
Should we list some of your credits, or are there any credits you'd like to highlight just to sort of orient why in the fuck we're talking to you rather than some other Yahoo?
Yeah.
Besides, you're my friend.
I'm Griffin's friend. Yeah, Laser Monster.
Well, yeah, and so that's first.
I
Three-piece instrumental rock band.
worked with a guy named Tony Joe White for about 9 years, who's old like blues legend dude, songwriter, and ended up, I feel like the whole time I was working with him, I kept thinking I really wanted a mentor. And then at some point I'm like, oh, it's this guy. Like, yeah, just about everything I do is influenced by working with a guy in his last like 9 years of his life, which
Wow.
is a good way to cut through what's important.
Yeah, if I had to take on a mentor, I definitely want it to be an old blues musician.
Yeah,
You know,
that's kind of the perfect.
Somebody who's seen it all, doesn't really have time for bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
think
wants
I
to-
made anything too cool until that guy taught me that what I was thinking about and caring about does not matter.
Wow.
Yeah. And of
It's-
course, you helped him be creative because he wasn't creative at all beforehand.
Beforehand, he was just doing
Yeah.
blues.
When it comes to old blues musicians, they needed me to come in and kind of show them the way.
That's awesome, though. So you worked with this guy for like 9 years. Did y'all produced a lot of records together? Or
Yeah, we did. So we did a record. I went over actually just to help him out, like figure out how to transfer old tapes to digital. And he wasn't even supposed to be there. And his son had hired me, who had a management company. And he showed up and we chatted for like a half hour. And he asked if I wanted to come in the next day and just start on a record. And he just had like old prosumer, like very much kind of like was tight with JJ Cale and that sort of era of like early recording yourself kind of home studio records, 70s and 80s. And his equipment was all, actually this board behind me was his. There's a tape machine here that was his. And yeah, we started making records. And that first one we did kind of for him, like revived his career in a cool way where like he ended up on Jules Holland. When Foo Fighters played Letterman, they brought him on for that residency. Like tours open up, just like, yeah, saw him after just sort of laying low for a couple decades, like have this cool resurgence. And we ended up making, was it 1, 2, I think like 4 or 5 records together. And then the last one, we finished it. And we had never demoed anything. We'd always just sort of like whatever we tracked, that's the keeper. But we ended up doing demos, just he and I, as like stall in a horse barn on his property that was, covered in dust, like everything, the equipment could barely run. And then he ended up dying 3 days later. And so we took the record, took those tracks, and then Steve Jordan hit us up and was like, hey, I want to be a part of this record. So Steve
Jordan, who's that?
Yeah, Steve Jordan, drummer who he's playing with the Rolling Stones now.
Wow.
But he
just assumed we knew him. That's how in this guy is. He's just like
in the comedy in comedy world. It's like he was Letterman's first drummer for that band.
Wow.
Okay.
Played in
Letterman's drummer.
That's your trying to connect with us as if I've ever known who Letterman's drummer is.
Is that not what you care about on those shows?
I don't know. I don't think so. I cared about was Conan's drummer because Conan made him front and center.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Steve, I feel like Steve was a guy, but yeah,
cool.
He played I don't know. He tons of stuff like John Mayer, all that, like Continuum Trio stuff. He played.
Gotcha.
He just produced a bunch of people played.
And he wanted to get involved in the Tony Joe White story.
He wanted to get involved. So we went out to Memphis with old high rhythm crew. So all those guys who played on the Al Green records and made it at that studio, and just cool old legends that teach you a bunch.
Damn.
So when you sorry, go ahead.
Griffin. You've also worked with the album I was just playing was Torres.
Yeah, I worked with Torres
and Parker Millsap.
Parker just did a record for Meg Elsier.
That's right.
Did just finish tracking.
And I'll go ahead and say this: friends of the pod, all.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people.
That's great.
Yeah.
So then, as I am, of course, a music lover. I've been listening to it my whole life, as I'm sure a lot of our citizen soldiers.
And I've been listening to it a little bit before I was even born.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm learning that. I think some of my future daughter's first albums will be this. My voice. Singing to her while she's in the womb. I thank you.
Lights out, Gorilla Radio.
Yeah. But can you illuminate a little bit more what exactly you do and how you help these artists be creative as a music producer? What is your role with someone like Tony Joe White when you're sitting in that bar, everything's dusty? I would just be like, oh, we got to get to a better spot, man. You can't record an album here.
Let's get an air filter on.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, we've been softened by Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. What's your role there?
The role is, so with someone like Tony Joe, I feel like I end up learning so much from him, but to be both like invisible and sort of celebratory, like to we're doing it to tape, and tape is somewhat expensive and all that, and yet there's no count in, there's no like, hey, we're about to do a take. It's just Tony Joe hanging out, his drummer hanging out, bass player, and someone kind of starts playing something and you never want to miss anything. They'll just end up falling into a song. Everything's like one take. So at the bare minimum, it's like, okay, everything works and you make yourself invisible. But I think for a lot of people, it's hard to both perform and have a great sense of whether what you performed connected beyond like hitting the right notes. And having someone else there to, again, at the very least, say like, yeah, no, that's like, even if you messed up that thing, like that take had so much special that we don't need to worry about that mess up, like everything. So perspective, sometimes it's playing, a part on it. With someone like Tony Joe, I never really played, but like with an artist coming into me, usually it's like, hey, I wrote these songs on an acoustic guitar. I want to make them a full record. And then I, in various ways, whether it's bring in other people, whether it's build it with them, help them figure out how to sound like something beyond maybe what their influences were. And I think sometimes that can be nice to have an outside perspective because you write music based on records you're into. But hopefully if you're doing it right, you are able to stumble on something that feels like you. And I think having
you have to like synthesize what their influences are as like an outside observer.
Hopefully the
Is that
influences
kind of what you're saying?
disappear, really. Hopefully it's like, the influences maybe got the song, inspired the song, whatever. But I think if you're doing it right, you can figure out like in the ways they're failing to be their influences or the ways that they're, taking something further, whatever it is, like hopefully you can come out with something that isn't just a tribute to the music they listen to.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say in some ways that a producer is like a weird little music cuck? Like you're there sitting in the corner being like, "Ooh, okay, I'm just going to be y'all just do your thing."
Truly at its best, it's like it's an enthusiastic cuck. It's a cuck with pom poms. It's like
maybe, yeah. Woohoo, you're doing a good job. But maybe try fucking her in a different way than you're used to.
And I think like a cuck, I am doing my job best if I am serving my own needs via their artistry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, most of the time you're like, I don't need to join in this, but every once in a while, like you said, sometimes you're like, what y'all need is a little bit of me playing bass.
Rarely, but sometimes I am the answer.
Okay.
Sometimes you like to step in. Does that doesn't feel heavy-handed, or is there a chance that feels heavy-handed with? I mean, or do people already just know going into it that that's kind of the deal that you might?
I feel
say,
like,
hey, I think I need to drive a little bit
this
here.
setup that you're seeing here is kind of like messy and everything's in one room, and a lot of like you look at like old school studios and you have everyone behind glass and then you have the band like out on the floor. And I think in those scenarios, if you're behind glass and you jump on an instrument, it's really weird because the people in the room are like, hey, they can kind of see him through the glare, but like, why is he hitting a piano? And I moved everything to this room because there's something nice. There's something that feels less intrusive. I think if I'm in the room and we're sort of all making music together, usually that seems to be a step toward more collaborative environment than me adding something behind the glass.
Gotcha. Well, and speaking of having a hard time of seeing anybody, do you mind just closing the window? The light is doing insane shit. You look like a floating. You look like you're like both an angel and sort of in a noir film.
Yeah, the lighting was pretty cool at the beginning. Okay, yeah, that's much.
This
I think that's
more
better.
Normal.
Yo,
Wow.
yeah. You look like a regular
Holy
guy.
shit.
Yeah,
and if you're
perfect.
on YouTube watching this, you can see him. And for the listener, it went from sort of a shadowy figure to I'd say sort of a Midwestern white guy.
Yeah, and for also our listeners that. He's clearly in a studio. Ryan is clearly sitting in what is a music studio with a bunch of knobs. It's got so many knobs.
It's knobs all the way down.
Knob City. If you were there,
patch cables.
Yeah, patch cable. It's Knob City and the state of cable. You'd be twisting them around. You'd be pulling. If you were a cat, if you were one of Griffin's cats, you'd be going nuts behind them.
Studio Cat would be happy in there.
Studio Cat's a problem.
Studio Cat's chewing through cables and stuff.
So, okay, that is really helpful for me to understand a little bit better what a music producer does in their role. I guess, like, what have you observed about creativity? Do you have any specific like tips or maxims or things that you've learned about creativity
How do
that
you
some
stay
of our
creative?
for some of our citizen soldiers?
So one thing that early on in those Tony Joe sessions, so Tony Joe had crazy deep voice. Like, if he needed something from me, it'd be like, hey, Ryan, where's the hat? And so deep that you could
I liked when he did that.
Barely understand the guy. But it was just he and I in the room, and he had finished a take, and we were listening back. And, hey, man, what'd he say there? And it was just a performance of just him singing and playing a guitar. And I kind of, I think I just ignored it. And then he said something else about like him and he, and I realized that he was talking about himself. And, it like continued to blow my mind over time. But I found that whenever he would do a performance, as soon as he listened back, that was somebody else. And there was it allowed him to sort of love a thing. He could be tickled by some way something came out, by some guitar riff, or he could be like, missed it on that, and there was nothing hurt him. There was no sense of like, that guy is me and I am someone who messed up and therefore I should feel bad about myself. It was
Wow.
Oh, cool.
it was this beautiful separation that I've tried to take away and like, yeah, empower people with, that usually cooler things are going to happen if you can just be excited about the last thing you did or laugh at it, or just feel general distance. I think the sooner you can become an audience member to your own creation, the better the work is, the more fun it is, and the more you stumble on things that are cooler than your initial idea.
Damn,
this
yeah.
guy sounds like maybe the exact opposite of me. And therefore I'm sort of suspicious. I don't know. Never really heard of the guy before. So I don't know if it's really served him that well.
Like, why am I
Sounds
listening
nice.
to him?
Sounds a little bit soft. It sounds nice.
I think
No,
that's
that's incredible. That's incredible perspective.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like, you're always changing. That was me a few minutes ago. That's not me, or that's a different guy.
I love
Oh,
it.
whoa, that guy sounds sad.
That's really
what
cool.
a fucking loser. That guy's sad about his wife, about a relationship. What a loser! But he's made good music, you know.
Wait, so there is still judgment on your version. Still, like, this guy fucked his whole life up.
Yeah,
Goddamn.
But it's a good song.
Just
you know?
really hard on yourself about everything that isn't your art.
Yeah.
That's probably a little bit true.
Yeah, and I think for him it was like I also feel like he could the world of joke songs can be very bad, but the world of like making yourself laugh over your song,
yeah.
I think it's powerful and I think it's really good. And I'm not suggesting anyone gets into comedy songs. Maybe they should, but
Here you got three guys saying don't do it, and one of them's a music producer.
Just, to your listeners, I think you're making your life twice as hard if you're needing some jokes out of your song.
Okay, yeah. So I guess
we have to block this episode from Luke Knoll's download.
Yeah,
pool.
no, Luke knows how to make funny songs. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like I guess you were before we might have derailed you with the musical comedy. You were saying how like it's not necessarily putting jokes in your songs, but like making yourself laugh. Like where were you going with that?
In what
I
way?
think
Like charmed by them?
Charmed by them. That's a good way to put that. Where like, or just make dumb shit. Just like try to make bad things. We would do songs like, songs that sound classic, sound incredible. And, one of them, like Willie Nelson ended up cutting on his record and all, but then we do a song called Hot Wings. And it's because we went out to lunch and he had some wings that just like lit him up and got him excited. And I think the lyrics were hot wings making me hot. And
right.
Yeah, those are pretty bad lyrics.
Really?
So just as a
really
guy.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the freedom to make bad things, again, working with people at the end of their life who sort of didn't have a lot to prove but had a whole lot to stand on, it was inspiring to see how little you could take yourself seriously and how much better the work was when that happened.
Yeah.
Get to that quicker. Get to that before you're 90.
Get to that now. Just make bad things and make yourself
I'm always
excited.
encouraging Tom, like, just keep making the stuff you're making. You got to make bad stuff. You're on the right track.
It's funny that you mentioned that, though, because I can think of some blues songs that I like that are about really mundane. I think one of them is just a guy singing about Maxwell House coffee.
Yeah.
He was like, Maxwell House. I love Maxwell House. And he's like, I woke up this morning, got some Maxwell House. And it's just like the lyrics aren't that good, but they are funny. And it is like, damn, this is a great blues song. And it's it was Mississippi John Hurt. That was the guy.
Yeah.
He
I would
has
say
some great songs like that.
There's a lot of songwriters who kind of do this, and like that's like their specialty. I'd say like John Prine. It strikes me as somebody there's a lot of humor in what he's doing, but it's also very sincere. But he's not afraid to let it just be a little bit goofy. And then sometimes in that goofiness, it comes out that he hits the combo so well, it comes out the other side as just like a very special, strange thing. I think that about like Paul Thomas Anderson movies, and who's the other one? Oh, Dan Reeder. Do you know Dan Reeder?
Yeah.
I feel like you do. He's driving pretty headfirst into comedy some of the times, but when he's not, because he's just got that in him, like that is his sincere often, is like he's got a song that was like Pussy Titty, and it's like he's fucking around, but like the desire to fuck around seems so innate in him that when the meter kind of or the pendulum swings back away from just pure comedy moment, he just comes out with just some of the most like beautiful, poetic, strange stuff I've ever heard, and that's some of my favorite art.
Yeah, and I think the idea, a thing that can go with that and can be freeing is, and I think hip hop does this well. You know, someone like Kendrick was someone that like opened my eyes to this, but the idea of character in songs and sort of realizing that even your like normal voice is kind of a chosen voice, and any other odd voice you do along with it, as like whether it is truly a different character in the song or just you start a song and you are singing in a voice that feels more put on than a natural thing, realizing that that is as available to you, can allow you to say things both musically and lyrically that that otherwise you would question, is this me? And sort of like realizing that any sound that comes out of you can be equally you. And I think that goes along with that idea of like just being amused by what you do, and also then vocally it like frees you up. And you listen to a Kendrick song and it's like every verse you might have like 3 different characters all coming from him step in, and I think more genres need to play with that idea of character.
That's a very actorly thing, and it's a very like writerly thing as well. I feel like, you know, like the actor thing's obvious, he's doing characters, but then I feel like, you know, yeah, if you're writing fiction or whatever, I mean, I guess you're writing the characters, but you can like try on different tones, and this is like interesting advice, I think, for more than just music, is maybe was what I'm saying.
Yeah, like how you and I can try on different accents on the podcast all the time.
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we try on accents from all over the world, especially from people who don't look like us or sound like us. We try and do our best imitations of those people.
And Tom,
what
that's
we
just
think
as much you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just somewhere inside of him. That is part of Tom. Tom is a middle-aged Japanese businessman. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
What do they call? There's a name they call in Japan, the businessmen.
Salarymen.
Salarymen. I really like salarymen.
Dude, I've been watching.
Salarymen is so nice.
I've been watching some like POV. You're a salaryman in Japan. Like, there's this guy who's like, I hate my job. I like. He's like, I'm a depressed salaryman in Japan, and then he just films like natural sound videos of him like getting fast food and going on the train and being like, I feel no emotions anymore. I hate my life. But then he's just like loves the fast food he eats. Like he's like, I go to this fast food restaurant, and he's like, in Japan, a fast food meal costs $3 and it's incredibly healthy and the ingredients are fresh. And you're like, wow. Okay, dude, doesn't sound like you really hate your life. Sounds like you just want to eat fast food all day.
This is interesting because the other night I drove past your house and it was like kind of getting late, and I was like, we were driving home. I was like, well, you know, what do we want to do? And I said, well, we could go knock on Tom Fell's door, maybe sing him a song. I wonder what he's doing right now. And it's good to know that you were probably watching POV Japanese salaryman videos. Life is dark. I hate every moment of it except for this beautiful fast food.
And what do you like about this,
11
Tom?
p.m.
I like the fact that they are like they're natural sound. There's no like VO. It's very unlike American influencer videos. Like, I usually watch them right before I go to bed because they're kind of relaxing. It's just like you just see someone kind of walk through Japan, and then you can read the captions, and you just kind of like your eyes get, you know. I like them because they help put me to sleep.
Yeah, I watch like painting videos for that same reason.
Yeah, they're very relaxing.
And I listen to, what have I been listening to? Stuff You Should Know.
That's nice.
Yeah, history.
Or history. And Stuff You Should Know isn't history, but there's another history one I listen to sometimes called The Rest Is History. That's 2 kind of cheeky British guys.
Yeah. I've heard that. I heard Lord Byron.
Yeah.
So so when you're not like working with like an old blues musician, you know, you're talking about working with like bands, like
Yeah.
how do you like what are some of your, I guess, insights from like collaborative creativity? Like how is working with a band and a group of people different from working with just like one old guy who you know, is towards the end of his life
but knows exactly what he wants.
Yeah, and literally dies after you work with him.
Man,
It's like so sad, but
the last day
you know.
too, he asked if I wanted to have a beer by the fire after we finished, and I said no, and I was like, I didn't feel like sitting in traffic, and then he died like 2 or 3 days later, and it just truly haunts me. So like step one, if an old guy offers you a fire and a beer, like say yes, hang out with him.
Always say yes.
Like,
oh my God.
How incredible. Like I'm sure whatever would have happened that night, I would have remembered the rest of my life. And I tried to beat the traffic.
I can just, I was jokingly like, I didn't want to cut you off, and I'm glad I didn't, because what you said was way funnier, but I was going to be like, and you said, fuck no, old man, and walked out there. But it's funny, like, I got to beat traffic.
It was traffic. It was like the worst reason.
I don't want to have to drive back from Franklin at 6 p.m. Come on.
Actually what it was. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry that happened to you. That's but it is a great piece of advice for everyone. Yeah, if an old man asks you to have a beer by the fire, you should.
My God,
and that goes for anyone. That goes for anyone in any circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got wisdom.
And no matter where you are, who you are, what he is, say yes.
He's probably got some stories.
Yeah. So for a band, it's interesting. I feel like bands are less and less these days. And
it's solo artists.
Yeah. It's a lot of solo artists who
have a band.
You'll like bring in a band for it. And I don't know exactly why that is. Yeah. But, if I'm working with, so I did a record for Meg Elsier, and she had been performing songs just alone, and they were great. She had some demos that were kind of just her either on an iPhone just singing into it, or making Logic demos that were pretty like, bare bones. And she came in, and it's a lot of just like hanging out. And this one, Griffin, when he moved to LA, gave me a bunch of his old pedals and
let him borrow them. They're on loan.
He's not getting those back.
Like, how like there's like paintings on loan to museums. That's kind of what's going on here. Okay? I mean,
you're definitely gonna get them back, and you're gonna make some stuff with them.
He's asked me if he can like restore them and do stuff here and there, but they're mine.
Yeah, we'll see. So with her, it was just hanging out and like playing, like messing with equipment and just hearing what sounds. This was her first record. She had done some recording before and not been thrilled with how it turned out. And I think it can be hard for a solo artist because you go into the studio and you're working with people that often you're bringing in musicians who are so good. And to have someone who's, played on tons of records who you respect, who is holding a guitar and playing something you're not into, it can be hard to sort of like claim some expertise over what they're doing. So our goal was like, all right, let's try to map out the record, just the two of us. We'll kind of figure out the whole world it lives in, sort of the sonic characters, what songs are going to be on it. And so we kind of demoed the whole record, just the two of us. And it's basically that. It's figuring out like what the story of the record is, and not necessarily mapping every part, but deciding on sort of, if this was visual art, it's you're sort of like, or if it was theater, you're sort of making the backdrop and everything. Then go into a studio with musicians, try to do that quickly because it doesn't take a ton of money, or costs less money if you can be quick, and kind of just executing the thing we created, just the two of us ahead of time. And that way, when she's performing in the studio, she's not second guessing, do I like these parts? Is this steering it wrong? Are we headed the wrong direction? She can just worry about performance, because what we've created ahead of time, it kind of tells everyone enough of what it should end up being.
I have a question that makes a lot of sense as far as, like functionally, like how you get through it. And, you build yourself like sort of, an outline that you can kind of then go fill in. But that might get, for a guy like me, that stuff would get stale. Like it'd be so tempting to be like, yeah, I said I liked that song or that sound when we were fucking around with the demo, and now we're all here. And well, I've heard that sound a million times and I'm not so charmed by it. Are you having to kind of, marshal people through or for, just say like, trust that we made this decision, or I don't know. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. How do you deal with,
is that does that happen a lot?
Standing by your initial tastes and be like, just flowing with the room if something starts to find a new direction?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
do you just say swallow it?
No. I think like ideally that's putting out anything though, is like, how do I make something that I stand by? And I do think that's the bar, working from the back before you even go into like in the final product, when you're putting something out, like hopefully it goes from, I hope people like this to I like it enough that I don't care if anyone likes it. And I think hopefully having a good enough relationship with me and the artist that whatever we do in pre-production sort of has that ethos of like, yeah, we love this. This is like, we're excited by this every time we put it on. That said,
if we're the only ones who ever hear this, we're going to be happy with it.
That's it. Yeah. And like that kind of has to be the bar, because otherwise I think you just go crazy. And probably water it down.
With the film stuff that I've done or the writing or whatever, is like, you do have to get to a point where these things are such long, protracted projects that you just get so tired of them that you do have to get to a point of like, if I died and this never came out other than like my friends heard it or saw it or read it, like would I feel good about that? Or like, you do have to just kind of get to, it's like kind of a Zen place.
It is. And it's kind of bold.
A little bit of darkness to it too. Huh?
And I think that separation of self, instead of being like, this is me, but just like, I'm making a thing and like, that guy did it, and then I'll show up and I'll contribute, and then that guy did, and that's kind of a true way to look at it, because it's weird to try to claim that you feel the same way you did 2 years ago or whenever the project started. Right. But you can still like cheer on that guy's decisions. And
sometimes I think that length, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes the length, just how intricate some things can be, recording a record, making a movie, whatever, making a painting, the length of time required is good, because it maybe allows you to have a little bit of that audience. I think there's some danger in there, because you can then want to go in and keep monkeying with stuff, and you reread something you wrote or whatever, and you're like, well, I don't think I would have said it like that. And you might be, robbing yourself of some of the charm, of your sort of younger artistry.
Yeah.
But if you can, I don't know how you navigate that, but if you can kind of figure out where to not do that and let it just be the thing, then you can let yourself be an audience to it some. I mean, that's, just having distance from it.
Yeah. The audience thing can happen. That's why I say, like, the quicker you can become an audience member to your own work, I think that's like what maturity as an artist ends up looking like. But even if it's forced just over time, I just finished a record that took 5 years, and it was so much better than it would have been if we had put it out after 6 months. And like, that wasn't solid 5 years. They were touring, and there was like COVID in there, and things happened. But like, you do sort of whittle away the things. Again, I think ideally you're hopefully making something that feels singular to that artist, and you start to whittle away like momentary fads, or like something that you did because you're like, hey, I want to prove I can do that too, because that song's blowing up. And life happens, and like people die, and relationships end, and like things that like make sitting down to make something feel trite or something, like those things all happen like in between the times in which you check back in on your work, and it becomes pretty easy to tell like when you're being a phony.
As a music producer, when bad stuff happens to the artist you work with, are you secretly like, hell yeah,
man,
it's gonna be some good music? Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good song.
Notice he didn't say people are born and relationships start.
Yeah, I think I'm sharing too much.
You don't have to answer that.
One of the greatest tragedies you've witnessed that helped make something better art.
Tom, do you think we make do you think you work well when you're like, I don't know, after negative life events?
Personally, no, but the numbers say different, you know?
When Tom's really pissed off, his pissed off videos do better.
Yeah, generally. Like the stuff where I'm like, I am in such a place of joy and this is so funny to me and I love it. People are like, okay. They're like, people are like, oh, what is this? What? But I don't know. Sometimes it's like that same bar. It's like the bar of like liking something so much you don't care. It's like, that's a really hard bar to get to, but it's so true. But that bar, I think, doesn't necessarily like equate to, you know, like widespread success all the time. But like, I don't think it should, you know, like there are plenty of times when you put something out and you're like, oh yeah, this didn't do like numbers, so to speak. And I'm, you know, just grossly speaking from a social media standpoint.
No, totally.
Because that's what I've generally known the best recently. But that doesn't matter to me as much as being like, well, but like, I know the people that I care about really fucking loved it. And like, yeah, I know that like my comedy friends whose opinion I respect, or like these creative people who I respect way more than just like some nameless face on the internet liked this way more. And like, that's all that you want at the end of the day as well.
Yeah,
so
it is. And so much so that it can be, depending on what most people are trying to make a living doing it. But if you have like two people like in your scene, in your world, whatever, who like love something, it can both be just like deeply satisfying, but also it can make it hard to then go do all the steps to get like all the wide acclaim. Cause you're like, man, I don't know, that person loves it. And like, I feel great now. I think I'm good. I think that's enough. I'm all right. We don't have to put it on the internet. And
this is where I live.
And
that's where I live with my little like artsy comedy
thing,
videos.
But
yeah,
it doesn't. It can make it difficult on the career side. But
yeah,
it is.
Well,
I like to work for about 2.5 years on maybe a 9-minute short film, and maybe 45 people watch it. But then Ryan tells me, "Hey, man, that one was one of your best," and that makes me happy. Or often he'll say, like, you know, it seems like you're trying a little bit hard there.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the questions I had written down beforehand, but I feel like you've touched on it on a few points of like, how do you steer artists away when they're just doing something and you're like, oh boy, this ain't it, man.
Good question. That's tough.
Yeah, that is. You know, part of the job is like always just trying to look out for people and like setting them. All right, let me think on this for just.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's usually, I guess truly what it is like if there's some songs that feel like it's like you're not putting yourself in a good light, this both doesn't feel like you, and it feels like you're like, I think a worst case scenario is like it feels put on and it feels bad. That's usually like those are the times that it feels like that thing you're saying. And generally there's something good in there, and there's something like that you can see that you say like, hey, I wonder if we could sort of expand upon this piece that's working. But usually it's like a record's going to have some songs cut. And so if they believe in it, go into the studio and track it and see if your opinion changes. See if all of a sudden like something that was tongue in cheek that didn't feel like it lands, all of a sudden, like with the framing of an arrangement, all of a sudden has life to it. And you're like, oh, okay, that was me being short-sighted. And that's beautiful and wonderful. And I think what's interesting about music is how much, if we're talking about like what a producer does, how much arrangement can shape intention. And then even once the arrangement's done, even when all that's tracked, when you go to mix it, it's amazing how much where you place sounds in space and the character you give it. For instance, like some distortion on a vocal or a bunch of reverb on a vocal, or the drums blown out with just a room mic, like down a hallway versus all the close mics, like all of those things, if an artist really believes in it and it's still not making sense to me, it's usually on the back end, it'll be playing with context. And it's like, how do you play with sincerity? Like if something sounds if it seems too sappy or something, you can play
corny
with the idea of sincerity with things that like imply aggression, or you can sort of place something back in space and it has uncertainty with it. And just purely like, even outside of the interpersonal, even outside of the sort of musical arrangement, just how you finish a product or a project in a mix can be that last stage to shape intention in a way that the artist who maybe they really identify with the lyrics, and me who's wanting something more out of it, those can usually come together in that phase in a really cool way that, like, if I had just loved the song right off the bat, it may have been a more straightforward treatment. And because there was that disagreement and we had to sort of bridge that divide, there's something that is creative beyond what either of our preconceived ideas ends up unfolding. And
so you're kind of saying, yeah. So you're kind of saying, like, someone could be like, hey, I really love this song. You're kind of like, I don't know. But then on the back half, you're kind of like, all right, well, let me see what I can do with this, and seeing if I can do it in a way that rings true and doesn't seem like as corny, or,
let me see if I can manipulate this person and their music into something I like.
Yeah.
I think that's the collaboration. Yeah. I think
of course.
And generally, honestly, that ends up being some of the best stuff. And it's interesting in the same way as, like, that might save a song that I didn't feel great about. It's interesting to me how many artists will finish tracking and we'll be in a studio, we've had it for a few days, and we'll finish early and just be like, is there anything else you have? And whatever song they weren't planning on tracking ends up being the best song. And that's interesting. And that feels parallel to this idea that I get upset when people stop a take partial way through, especially, if it's a full band and, like, guitar player messes up, it's like, man, that could be a great take for the whole band. But more interestingly is just a vocalist just maybe doing an overdub. And, the first few takes sound like someone trying to hit notes, and that's about it. And then all of a sudden they're singing this take, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel something here. And so often they stop that take and they're like, hey, can we start again? And in the same way as these songs that are great being sort of, for whatever reason, wanting to be shelved, oftentimes a take that feels like it's really exposing something, risking something, it's like they kind of forget to try, and something real comes out. And then once they realize they sort of haven't been paying attention, it's like, whoa. Let's go back. I want to make sure I'm in control here.
Yeah. Okay.
And those are also interesting ideas. So in the same way as a song sort of revealing itself at the end, I think performances can reveal themselves when you forget to think about it, forget to care. And I think that's a good role for a producer to be like, whoa, like, you weren't singing there. You were just doing
keep going.
Yeah. Keep going. Please keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah. That's, maybe we already said this, but, like, the,
I feel like I'm giving you too many answers at once. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. It's multiple answers, but it's towards the same thing. It's, making intentionally stupid stuff, or, like, intentionally bad stuff. I think you said something like that earlier. I think is very useful for knocking your creativity loose. Especially if you feel stuck in, I don't know, you're writing a story or song or whatever you're doing, and it's, you were excited about it. Now you feel like it's just work. I personally like to just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna, like, I can always just delete this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna intentionally drive into, like, sometimes, especially if I'm writing, the stupidest thing I can, like, fuck, shit, doo-doo, caca, poo-poo for, as long as I can take it. Because usually that's not that long. And usually I'll just have to start writing something that is anything, even if it's just my own thoughts. And, like, I'll just truly, like, find out, like, what's the bottom of my creativity right now?
Yeah.
What's the worst thing I could, put out publicly? Now, of course, none of my incredible opinions or ideas, but just, like, what would be the bottom of the barrel? And then, well, you find out it's not that, I don't know. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I know what that is. So like everything is going to be fine. And like, I can find some ideas. I don't know. It's a good way to knock some stuff loose.
Yeah. It's a good way to stop being afraid of yourself. I feel like, Tom, you mentioned like bad periods of life, bringing out good creativity. And I think it depends probably what type of bad, but any type of bad period that makes you have self-doubt, like that, to me, I can't do anything. Like as soon as you don't sort of trust yourself, or you fear that your compass is off, and even if you like something, you shouldn't like that thing because it's bad. Those are incredibly destructive times. And like I went through a bad period of that, so much so that like I worked at a radio station and like converted an old Mrs. Winters into a bar, just like doing manual labor for someone. And
is this when you thought you were going to become a nuclear physicist?
I don't know if I ever had that one.
Or nuclear engineer.
I was open
you had
to
some
anything.
kind of nuclear books. I went over to your house one time and you had some kind of book about nuclear science, and you were like, "Yeah, this might be what
I think I was
into.
looking at like environmental science, but
no, man, this was nuclear.
Maybe
a lot of guys,
nuclear,
a lot of guys have a nuclear phase. Everyone goes through a nuclear phase. I think I went, especially like when Chernobyl came out. Everybody's like, "Okay, I think I get this
Maybe
stuff. I could have prevented this.
I'm figuring it. Yeah, I'm figuring out better than these idiots."
Hey, Griffin and I were on a bachelor party with a guy who is a nuclear engineer, and I watched him make some of the worst choices I've ever seen a human being make in my entire life.
Yeah, that's, it's like learning that like the best musicians don't always make the best music. Coming to music school, it's like, if I just knew more, I'd make better stuff. And then you're like, oh no, it's there's something beyond just being nuclear.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of this, when I lived in New Orleans, there was a guy who was like, I don't know, I can't remember. He was a friend of friends, he was like an aerospace engineer and had worked at like Lockheed Martin and like NASA. And we were hanging out one time and he said something along the lines of like, you might be surprised, but like, the bathroom stalls at NASA are still filled with just the filthiest graffiti you've ever seen. I was like, really? I mean, that's kind of concerning. Because like the bathroom stalls at my work are pretty normal.
Hey guys, I found out I landed something on Mars, but I still can't suck my own pee-pee,
Yeah, that's what he's writing in the bathroom stall. He brought a Boy Scout knife to carve that into the seat.
Oh yeah. No, but I mean, I think what you said about those like periods of self-doubt, I feel like that's the bad stuff where it's like, yeah, nothing's getting done here, versus other times where it's like bad stuff is happening to you and you're like, oh man, this really sucks. But like, not that you're going to get something good out of this, but I think the times in my life where bad things have been happening and I've been like, well, I don't hate myself. Generally that begets good work. Whereas like the bad times where I'm just like, God, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so shitty. Then it's like, I've continued to put stuff out during both of those and stuff. And it's like, it's true. It's like when you have that self-doubt, when you're not able to remove yourself and when you're judging yourself either after you created it or like when you were giving the example of someone stopping themselves mid-take, like if you're judging yourself while you're doing it, then like that kind of screws it over too.
It does. And that idea about like, bad periods, seeing whatever it is that causes good to come out of that. And maybe it's, someone's dying. It's like, gives you a sense of like immediacy, gives you a sense of presence, gives you an in the moment. I just worked with an artist whose mom passed away earlier this year, and her record's gorgeous. And only one song is about that. But there's songs about walking across grocery store parking lot and seeing birds come down and pick up mosquitoes, and like sitting in a lawn chair and, just sitting in the sun, drinking a seltzer and feeling like everything's and you can see the ways in which like life being at its most potent makes lyrics that under different life circumstances might not be contextualized so beautifully. And it is, for most of the songs, almost the entire record, nothing to do with dying, but like, man, the stakes of life come through in this beautiful way. And I think that's if there's, for my own thing, if there's good, especially like working with artists bringing in material, if there's good that comes out of a bad period, at the very least, it's just empathy. It's like knowing what that thing feels like and knowing, or at least your own version of what that thing feels like, in a way that can be creatively helpful once you're past the, like, I can't get out of bed phase or whatever that is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like what you said about the, contextualization of everything else surrounding you, because it's like there are so many times where it's just like an artist is milking the same experience over and over and over again. And you're like, yeah, we don't need like 10 songs about your mom on this album. We just just have one or two and we get it in the rest of it. And it's like there's some artists who do that really well, and then there are others who it's just like, God damn, it's been 10 years and we're still going after the same shit, whether it's a comedian, whether it's a musician. I think there are examples of that in every industry or every facet of art. But I think that's a great creativity tip of like, you don't have to do it just about one thing, but you can take the perspective and the way you were feeling throughout that and how you saw life and use that to inform and get great takes.
It'll find its way into everything. Like,
you don't have to drive at it.
And I remember recording one record, and I knew this woman was like she had been having a hard time. She was pretty depressed. And it's like if someone's like a little depressed, their songs are all going to be about being depressed. And if someone's really depressed, like all of her songs were about trying to find joy. And in the way that you talk about some people milking it, it was just it was so much more beautiful for the fact that everything was trying to see good. And it's like, that almost is more heart wrenching than the sad song.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sometimes that udder's dry, baby. You got to quit milking that.
Yeah.
Move on. Try milking something else. Try.
And this is what the producer does. Those are the words I use.
Yeah.
Maybe try that.
Yeah. I mean, I had written down before, but we kind of moved past it already. But I was like, as a music producer, kind of like you're the geologist who's like, that's where the ore is, baby. Now go down in the mine.
Yeah,
which I think, will be helpful for a lot of our citizen soldiers who
don't understand what Ryan's job is.
Who aren't as into music and are more into iron ore and precious metals. A lot of our
the foundries and the quarries.
Yeah, a lot of our our citizen soldiers who just find it helpful when things are framed in precious metals and
probably
mining.
Helpful for our friends in Australia.
Yeah, and in Australia too. Yeah, we do have about 100 people in Australia who listen, or maybe like 20 who just consistently download the episodes.
Oh,
delete them and then redownload them.
Yeah, which is a big mining country. A lot of oil, a lot of good mining in Australia going on.
Yeah, thanks for putting it in those terms for them.
Yeah. But essentially what you said, it was just like, yes, you are there saying like these are good areas to explore.
Go on.
And I was going to say what you said too, Griffin, the idea of like giving yourself permission to really test your bottom. That's I need to do that more myself. Like just make heinous shit. And
I'm trying to remember like when I've like done that. And I think my question was going to be like, what do you tell somebody who's like, maybe so insecure or self-doubted? Because, I'll be honest, haven't hit it huge in any artistic pursuit. I'm professionally, am a filmmaker in some way, but that's like not quite in the key that I want to be. Something for the music guy.
Ooh, nice.
And like a lot of that time has been, I don't know if I'd say riddled with self-doubt, but that's like a big part of my creative life has been, that haunts it and that maybe helps it in some ways. I'm not sure. I've gotten too long-winded now. I'm like starting to forget what I was trying to ask. I guess like what do you tell somebody who is feeling that? Like, how do they get out of it? Because we both know, probably all know, and probably many people listening to this, artists in their lives or would-be artists maybe who have created something, or they're so funny or whatever, and they just never put it out, or they sit on it for forever, and there's an intense fear there.
Yeah,
and that was going to be that is my question, but maybe part of that answer is kind of what we just talked about of like, when I have been that person where I'm like, I can't ever put this out. This is, horse shit. Forcing myself to just write anything down or just make a choice and let it be bad, and kind of like having a little bit of a temper tantrum of like,
Totally.
when I've had to like film myself and I'm unhappy with it, well, just like having like the worst thing would be to have a meltdown and put it out. Well, if I'm really struggling with it, just have the meltdown. Just let myself if it's just me on camera, have the meltdown. I'm not bothering anybody. If it's just me writing, I can just freak out. I mean, you can't really do that in a professional sense, but hopefully, when you have collaborators, you can't really do that. But hopefully there's this has come before that, before you start involving others in whatever this project is. What do you tell these people who are afraid to move on to even the next step?
So that thing you're talking about of like, which is worse for my career, to put this work out and risk it being horrible and like everyone in my community knowing now that I am trash, or not putting it out and for sure not, having a shot to do it. And, I'm working with an artist right now who's put out a bunch of records, had like good career, and is going through writer's block in a way that I haven't really seen anyone go through before, lasting like years now. And we've been doing just sort of regular check-ins. I think we should have started the record maybe end of last year, and we still haven't recorded anything.
Wow.
And so he'll come over and we'll listen to music together, just like talk about what he's interested in and try understanding like what he's excited by at the very least. And like if you're not going to make the thing that moves you, at least like hopefully check in and see if there is anything out there that can move you in those moments. I know like when I was in my worst spot, you could have shown me like 2 side-by-side paintings, 2 songs. Like I couldn't have told you sort of what I felt about either one. So I think first it's trying to shut off as much outside world as possible and just trying to figure out whether you can get excited about anything, just like alone in a room. Without cultural
forget that
context.
Anybody's going to listen to it. Forget that anybody's going to read it.
Yeah, forget about making anything. Just someone else's work. See, like if you can get excited about anything.
Gotcha. I see.
Yeah.
And start trying to pay attention to things that do genuinely excite you, even if they feel fewer and far between than what they used to be or whatever it is. Like you start to stack that idea or those works, and then hopefully start to see, I think in the best case scenario, it's not necessarily even obvious through line, but something that you eventually stumble on something that makes you excited to create. And sometimes seeing what makes people excited to create can be like kind of a bomb, like you go and you see a show and someone kind of bombs.
Yeah.
And, but also maybe they bomb in a way that's exciting, and it's not even a bomb. It doesn't even excite you in a way that you're like, oh, I could do better. But it excites you because like they got off stage and their friends still liked them, and, they still had a drink, and you're like, oh, like what I'm risking here is so low. And maybe if it's just like, for this artist who I'm working with, just paying attention to what aspects, and maybe it's, I feel like we were listening to Jonathan Richman, and like, his stuff is pretty loose, like mess ups all over the place, and starting to realize like, yeah, you can do that. Like literally the only thing we're trying to do is make something that someone wants to hit play on, and anything musical is like, it can be a helpful tool, but they might not hit play because like you're in tune. They might hit play because, it's like Tom watching a Salaryman. It's like makes you feel less alone, and like whatever it is, it can be unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so trying to like, I think just trying to like get in touch with your own taste before trying to create. And then when you create, like, just like hang out with that taste and try to keep the outside world out, from having an opinion in your head. long enough to like write a record.
What about this? Go as fast as you can.
I like
Put
that
out
idea.
a lot of stuff. Well, I'm thinking like, if you just like, just go. Don't let yourself have time to sit and think about it too long.
Yeah.
I know I was advocating for that at some point earlier, but now I'm saying the direct opposite. Just put it out. Just put like write the thing, or maybe don't put it out, but just like, if it's a song, write the song, move on.
I think if putting it out is the thing stopping you, then like that sounds like great advice. Like just
put it out.
It's like exposure therapy. Just like start putting stuff out.
Yeah.
Although there's that Patti Smith, like protect your reputation at all costs. And I do think about that, but
yeah. It's tough not to.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to.
It does get easier though, right? Like you guys, you're putting out regular. I mean, like if I post anything online, I kind of like feel shitty the rest of the day. And I think it's probably just like fear.
That's a natural feeling that I think a lot of people feel. Most people don't post anything online.
I generally feel excited, and then I watch how it's going, and then I feel pretty bad.
Right.
I worked hard on this. I was really excited about this.
Are you able
I can't
to
wait for
not
people.
watch how it does? Are you ever able to just put something out and like just go on with your life for a week?
Now I am. Yeah. Now I really am. It didn't used to be that way. And then I like, would think about it too much, and eventually like I would have trouble sleeping. But like now I've got to the point where I'm like, I can't control how it does. Like I make a ton of these, like in best practice on social media, you're putting something out every week, if not multiple times every week. So it's like, you can't be too precious. I think that like with some of the the bread and butter videos, sometimes I won't check it for like a week, or sometimes like a couple of days. But then other stuff that I really care about, where I'm like, I love this and it's different from what I've normally put on, I'll check it, and then I'll be like, oh, it's not doing that well.
Yeah. It depends on what it is. For me, I would say I unfortunately care too much about stuff, so I don't put out that much stuff. And when I do, it's something I really am excited about or care about. But then also when it's like, I don't know, podcast stuff or clips or like just Penis Boy stuff, I'm still super excited about those. Yeah. But I'm less like, I'm charmed if and when they do well. And I feel a little bit of like, 7,000 people saw this or like this or whatever. That's not that great. But also I'm like, we had so much fun making it. And I'm happy that the people who like it.
Yeah. And social media is a bit of a different animal, because it's like, there was a bit of a trend that went down, or a lot of videos I saw where it's like the numbers, the sheer volume of social media can just like dilute what you see as like impactful. Like the fact that like 8,000 people watched a video and like 300 liked it. Like I would be like, oh, that's a fucking bomb, but like, oh, that's like 300 people. That's like almost like more than a theater's full, a small theater's full. And it's like that reached that many people. Like that's awesome.
Those are real people.
Yeah, having to take that. I mean, a few of them are going to be porn bots, but like most of them are going to be real people. And even the porn bots are still going to send you some pretty sexy messages.
Well, also, they got to take a break from doing all that porn. They can't be just getting fucked and being a robot all the time.
Yeah, hey, and I will say,
gotta like it a little bit.
I will say sometimes I put stuff out online and you're like, not that many people liked it, but there's a crazy porn star who liked it, or like where it's a legitimate, or it's like a cool celebrity, and you're like, oh, whoa, this person liked that. All right, oh, okay.
I put stuff out before. There was like a well produced sketch, or like effectively like a short film that they've never done that well before. But every now and then when I like repost them or something, I've gotten a few comments that are like, how is this not viral, or like this is incredible, or whatever. And like 300 likes and one guy says that, or a few people say something like that, feels pretty significant.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's... Sorry,
I was going to say, how has like... Yeah, I guess putting stuff out as regularly as you guys do, how has that affected your taste personally?
Taste in our own stuff?
Yeah, does that this artist that I was talking about, he's put out a bunch of work. And so it's interesting to see someone like that be debilitated in some way. But I think in some ways putting out a bunch of work doesn't necessarily... It could make you more susceptible to maybe a disconnect with yourself.
Why is that?
Because you have people who genuinely care. You get what you wanted, which is like to have people connect with it and to identify with it. But then that's almost a bit of ownership that they feel entitled to sort of impose upon you on your future work to cater to that thing that they connected with?
So what's your question?
Has your taste
fans
changed at all in response to seeing positive reactions from people online? Just the format of like putting work out online, has that affected your personal taste, both maybe in what you consume, but also what you make?
I think so. I think that like, just in general comedy arc, I think that like when I first started out in comedy, I think I liked a lot more mainstream comedy. And now I feel like I've just seen so much comedy, and because so much comedy is online nowadays and like everyone can put out shit, it's like, I can't stand, you got to go like, not even like, I'm a pretty weird guy now. You got to go really weird to get me. But it is like, I find myself going more and more niche, or like the type of stuff that I like is not what I think that most people would assume that I like, or that a lot of other people like. And I think that in specific, like just having put out a lot of stuff in like the corporate sphere, like I just hate all corporate comedy now. Like I just can't watch it online. I sometimes get sick of myself doing it because I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like in the same way that you are like, I'm more than my job. You're like, this is more like, I have more to me than just churning out this shit.
I got more to say.
Yeah, I have more to say. There's like, there's a bit more joy to like my life than just like, being a sad sap at a computer, it's
right.
Like, it's that type of thing. So it is like, I do think that evolves. And even with like the Penis Boys stuff, it's like those would go off, and then like we started this podcast, and I think that like a lot of people, it's like, well, they just want that character for an hour, and it's just like, well, it's hard to do that, and it's hard to be that guy for an hour, and like we don't really want to do that and just like not be yourself for an hour. So it is like, I think it does influence overall what you consume or what your taste is and kind of what you end up being, because I think that when you get oversaturated with a particular style, whether it's music, whether it's comedy, whether it's any like visual art, you're just like, I think if you are an artist who does anything long term, you react against it in a way, and you're like, well, I don't want to do this. I think you can see it in a lot of musicians. It's like why people don't want to play the hits. It's like, I think when I was younger, I would be like, yeah, you want to see them play the hits. And then it's like, now I get it why people go to concerts, and like why fucking, what is it, Morrissey or all these people. It's like they're notoriously like crotchety on stage or don't play the songs people want. And like, where as a viewer and as a paying ticket holder, I'm kind of like, well, this sucks. Like, I understand it. And I'm like, yeah, you don't really owe anything to anyone as an artist. You want to, if you're a good artist, you want to keep producing interesting material.
Yeah.
So, a little long-winded, but.
No,
and it's made.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's made me more tolerant of normal comedy or normal stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I just was so into the weirdest stuff, or like so excited about things being unique and strange, and I still am. And that's always the best thing, and I'll always want to champion that. But it's in some way has just like chilled me out, because I'm like, well, it is hard to make shit, and I don't know. It's funny. If I see a normal guy who's found a way to be funny, and it's not really the most interesting brand of comedy, but it's like it works, I'm kind of like, I can be into it in a way that I used to, I think, be a little bit more militant of like, you need to be trying to reinvent the wheel every time you do comedy.
Yeah.
I still do think you should be trying to do that some, but it's also like, well, I don't know. It's hard, and life is short, and you can't.
And getting anyone to care is like
exactly. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You can do good clean Christian comedy about going to the grocery store. Like,
Great,
I'll get into that.
Yeah, well done.
Go nuts.
But also, it's fun to see like a guy in a dilapidated apartment still rambling about Barack Obama online. Who's not trying to do comedy at all, but like that is what comedy to me is. Of like, I feel like my friend Luke. Noel has all of our friends, I guess, has sent us enough. I don't know. Ryan doesn't know.
To the club.
But like, it's like his TikTok feed has like gotten into far into these people,
it's
like
weird.
These like outside. It's like outsider art for comedy.
Wow, I gotta check this out.
Well, you can't. There's no way. You have to get Luke's phone.
you really have to.
We have to start sending you videos that Luke sends us, and then you have to watch them all the way through, like them, and share them as well. And then you'll start to get a glimpse of what's going on with.
Yeah. There's some really deep cuts out there, and there are people who are trying to do comedy, and it's like failing. It's like cringe, but not cringe.
I'll send you some stuff.
They're probably hitting on things that like, in a real way, work on an artistic and like visionary level.
Yeah. And it's like one of those things like,
or they're just human oddity. Just circus, freak.
Do you ever want to like find a way to like find that within yourself?
I do, but I can't. There is no way if I start ranting, if I'm like I like demons or I'm communicating with demons and I hate Barack Obama and post that online, that like there's going to be maybe 300 people. Yeah.
But these are people who are like sincerely like disturbed, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you're saying you want to be disturbed? I'm confused what kind of person you're saying.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like I think that if I went too hard into that into that arena, that it would be a little bit alarming. And like there is a bit of like knowing your lane,
And like you guys know, like the Shags, those sisters who were forced to like become a rock band because their dad had a vision, like when he was a child, that he would have 3 daughters and they'd be in a rock band.
Yes. We got something to tell you.
Finish what you're saying, and then we have a fun little reveal.
Wow, beautiful. That sounds somewhat like the equivalent of the comedy you're talking about. And I think like there have been, since that record came out, there have been musicians who have tried to find truth in that and find something that was realer than, I don't know, just found inspiration in that. And it sort of feels like an equivalent that could have a positive artistic impact.
Yes, and I think there are comedians who maybe taken that element and add it to their comedy. I think there are a lot of successful actors or like alt comedians who do that. I don't know if I could successfully do that,
but just letting themselves be fucking weirdos.
Yeah, who just have like a lot. It can be like really weirdo characters or like make rage bait all the time.
Oh, sure. I don't know how you do just.
There are a lot of people who can just make rage bait and then like.
I think it's a younger comedian thing.
Yeah, it is because because there has been so much, people consume so much online that we see like all these different types of videos, and so that like what becomes funny is now being like, oh, I'm genuinely trying to like make people think that I am real, and that I'm like intentionally setting out this rage bait, and then like if you take the bait, then like the joke's on you.
Right. Well, this is what they're satirizing, what they've grown up seeing, which is TikTok videos. At this point.
Exactly. Which
I can't remember her name. There's a woman. It's like a guy and a girl, but I think she's maybe more famous. And they do incredible, like just fully like brain rot.
Oh, that like Mitzi
yeah.
and her boyfriend.
Yeah. And they're really good. And for the longest time, I was just like, God damn it, this fucking couple, these people are miserable. I can't stop watching, but this is so just disturbed. And then she posted like a sincere picture where she's like looks incredible and is like dressed normally and behaving like a normal person. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought this was just like a full like, from the depths of Comic-Con, but no, she's just like an actor.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, like really, she's satirizing it really well.
But people like that. I mean, that's what's like when I first started on TikTok, it's like I got, 50,000 followers from pretending to be a realtor. Who couldn't stop masturbating, a Christian realtor who couldn't stop masturbating. And most of it was like people it was like, that's what I was making. I was trying to make rage bait in some sense, or a lot of people were in on the joke, but I eventually stopped doing it because enough people would like be like, hey, I'm addicted to pornography. Like, how can you help me get off? And I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. The fact that people like are, maybe this is like, not that I was too good of an actor, but I was just like, this is just not, I don't know. This isn't what I was going for. I thought
we're
it was
not
clear
all
that
on the
was a
same
joke.
page.
Yeah, we're not all on the same page, and it feels weird to be convincing these poor young kids, these like teenagers, that like
I'm as addicted to porn
that
as
you can make it as a realtor,
and also that I have a life as a realtor.
Yeah, exactly.
The big reveal is that, the camera. I don't know if the camera has seen her plenty of times, but that if you can see the little kitten there? That's Foot.
Yeah. Foot?
That is Foot. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
Which is
Griffin,
a Shag song.
which is a
But I didn't mean to.
yeah, the Shags have a song called My Pal Foot Foot.
Yeah.
And that's who's Griffin Cat.
Which Deerhoof covered, and I never listened really or liked it very much. I was like, this is one of the weirdest things Deerhoof has ever done. It's so fucked up, but I really liked the name.
Yeah.
And then I found out it was a Shag song. I thought it was just Deerhoof
nice.
being Deerhoof.
Yeah. If you
Which says a lot about their creativity.
Citizen Soldier have not listened to the Shags, just
Don't.
see how much you can take.
Yeah.
My Pal Foot Foot
My Pal Foot Foot.
is okay, and there's like our vision of the world. There's some song that is like my vision of the world or the philosophy of the world, where I'm actually like, this is tolerable, and like the lyrics are kind of interesting. It's like beautiful people want to be ugly people want to be beautiful people, tall people want to be short people want to be tall people, and you're just like, this is insane, but this is kind of true.
Autistic rock. This sounds like autistic rock. I mean, this is a separate conversation, but I can't really tolerate the Shags, if I'm being quite honest. I don't get what the fascination is. I don't like if there's anything like incredible or beautiful hidden in there, but most of the time when I've listened to it,
I think if you want the Citizen Soldiers want to know what my job is, it's like the Shags hit you up and they send you that demo, and they say like, we want to be huge and we want to be playing arenas, and like, I want to do this for a living. I want to quit my job.
right.
Help us out. They can put on that record, and that's sort of a little closer to the like, maybe the first stage of a recording process, what it looks like, and they can think like, hey, what would I do to make sure that this gets playlisted by Spotify?
Do you get a lot of like unsolicited requests for help or like production?
When I was in college, it was, pretty rough stuff. And then basically the short of my arc was like, graduated, was working with cool people, worked at a studio, was able to do it full time. Mom died, relationship ended. I kind of lost my mind. That whole like, can't tell you if I liked A or B or C or anything.
His nuclear phase.
And then came back. And I'd say in that first year of like working at the studio, and you work with whoever will work with you, whatever. But then coming back, I was like running sound at writers' nights at like, sports bars in Nashville, which is like going to music school here. You assume that everyone just has a certain level of talent. I was just shocked that everyone here is so good. Then you start working writers like open mic nights at a sports bar, and you start to see like what the city also has to offer. And
you see the real thing.
You see the real thing, and like sometimes it is like magical in the ways it is broken, and sometimes it is just broken. But yeah, no, there are projects along the way that some dudes who's working for HCA here, his wife wants to be a country star, and he pays enough that like as a kid right out of college you can't say no, but you have to try to figure out how to make this thing compelling and not hate yourself at the end of the day. That's the job, at least for a while.
There is some like I don't know. Yeah, it's funny to hear it from the musical side, having been in like so many like comedy open mics, and you hear like, God, this is such misery. And then it's also when somebody does well, you're like, holy shit,
right.
That was incredible. And then there's like the third thing, like the broken but it's still kind of fun. I can't remember his name, but there was a comic in Chicago, or let's be honest. There was a guy who was doing is that open mic Dave Odd used to host, but it was in like, before it was at a bar, it was in like a community, like the basement of a community center.
Okay.
And he had some joke that I still to this day, and my buddy David, we laugh about it. It's incredible to us, but like it just ate shit. And the joke was just, he got on the mic and he said something like, man, I don't know what it is, but something about Kesha. She looks like she maybe masturbates with a poop-shaped dildo. we were both just like, what the fuck? And it was funny to us in the moment, and it's still it's something about it is so funny to me now. And you're not seeing that in a mainstream
You're not.
release anywhere.
No.
It's just crazy.
And it genuinely is like,
a poop-shaped dildo is such a fucking weird insult. Sorry.
And I think, like you were saying, Tom, like now that you've seen so much comedy, I do think there is something exciting about a poop-shaped dildo. There's something,
Yeah.
You're just like, wow, that's a thought I've never had, and almost no one else would ever have it. And if they did, they wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
And it's charming.
And if they said it, people would say, "Hey, man, you can't say that again."
I was like, man, there he is again. I hope he does poop-shaped dildo again.
And I think that is sort of the like, the artists reaching all their full powers and trying to figure out how to paint like a child thing, where it is like it's figuring out what that thing is. And maybe that goes back to the writer's block. Maybe that kind of goes back to all of it of like, figuring out what you actually like now that you've like, I think it's good to, you start off playing whatever band you're into. And then at some point you realize your taste sucked in high school and you consume all sorts of other things and learn a whole bunch of rules that you regret not having known sooner. And then hopefully you get out of that phase and you stop being proud of yourself for knowing all the right rules and can make something that has more potential to bomb, but therefore probably more potential to stand out.
Or you could get successful when you're 18 and make pop punk for the rest of your life, like Green Day.
Yeah, for sure. That could work out.
Actually, I feel like they've also deviated from that a little bit. They have kind of grown, but you could unfortunately you could become a victim of your own success and make just hit the I got to make the same internet video over and over again. I got to make the same movie over and over.
And maybe you just love that thing. Maybe you were lucky enough to like find your thing at 12, and you just like, man, you can't get enough of it, and you just keep it going, and that's cool too.
A lot of people love that though. Yeah. A lot of people love something that never changes.
Yeah,
you think Jeff Foxworthy feels good about finding you might be a redneck?
Oh yeah, but I mean
he's got to just love that.
Yeah, absolutely. But even he's like expanded. Like I've heard him do some
actual comedy.
Well, do actual comedy, but also he went into like hosting the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Right.
Which big leap. But no. I've heard him do some cool stuff. He was like a host of this one of the Scary Story podcasts I listened to.
That hit so big that he cannot. I mean, maybe now I don't know, but like that's like another like you just can't do a show and not do that. People are gonna want that.
Would you guys want to be that big? Like, do you aspire to that?
No.
I think it would be fun. Yeah.
I think I'd like to be big enough that the people who make the thing that I'm making like and respect it, and I can continue working.
Yeah,
I'd like to be good enough or successful enough at comedy and filmmaking that the insiders know who I am and some of the real heads. But I don't think I really want to be.
I think
I don't want to be Tom Fell famous.
I want everyone in Hollywood to hate me, but I want somebody in Dubuque, Iowa I want to walk into Dubuque, Iowa, and they lift me on their shoulders and parade me through the streets.
The king is back!
Yeah, the king, he's back. We love him.
Yeah, I got the first ticket to get in line to suck his ass.
Yeah, but if everyone here hated me and no one respected me, that'd be fine as long as I can be cheered on in Dubuque, Iowa.
That's wonderful.
Well, Ryan, I think we're probably needing to wrap it up. But one quick question. Well, Tom, I'll let you ask. About
we have to acknowledge one of our sponsors, which is Randleman Sauces. The Randleman Skycam has been in effect this whole time, but in reality, the true Randleman Skycam would need to be in outer space to get us all in the shot.
Yes.
Which Randleman's has the capability of doing if they would like. But Ryan, we must ask you, what is your favorite Randleman sauce from their wide and diverse portfolio of sauces from all over the world?
Well, I've tried most of them. I'd say probably the jalapeno hollandaise is
jalapeno hollandaise. What do you like it? What do you like it on?
I'm classic. I just I like it on some artichoke.
Okay, on artichoke.
What the fuck?
People putting Randleman sauces on a lot of
Holy
vegetables
shit.
lately. We had last week
Yeah.
we had pumpkin sauce on spinach. This week we got hollandaise on
roasted
artichoke on artichoke, which is great. I mean,
this is kind of the conversation we were just having. This goes to, like, I never would have thought of that.
no.
I never would have been putting the hollandaise, habanero hollandaise on artichoke. But here I'm sitting thinking that could be interesting.
That could be tonight.
Quite a creative thought you've had. That could be tonight.
Hey, thanks for helping me optimize my creativity.
Of course.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Likewise. Yeah, thanks for being on. I hope our listeners have found it enriching, engaging, and creative.
Yes, citizen soldiers, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to Really Important Thinking with Dr. Chris Chismore, starring Tom and Griffin, hosted by Tom and Griffin. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the awakening. You are loved. Nobody thinks like you. Really Important Thinking is produced by Griffin Winsler, Tom Fell, and Dr. Chris Chismore. All fact-checking is done by the MIT Institute for Data, Systems, and Society. Really Important Thinking is engineered at the Stanford Institute of Consequential Noise and recorded at Detweiler Sound in humble Tupelo, Mississippi. When I see my baby dancing, I know it's to that Detweiler sound. Sound mixing by Reed Armband with music by Laser Monster. Tom's costume was provided by Padma Lakshmi with catering provided by Kokomo's Mungo Lounge. Kokomo's, if you can't take her here, you can't take her anywhere.